So good morning, everyone. Good morning and welcome. Welcome to the flagship conference of the European Social Insurance Platform for this year. We chose to focus on a theme which is very close to the heart of our members. Our members, the statutory social security institutions from across Europe, what I call the institutions that actually represent Europe's truest treasure, what makes Europe actually stand out. We fund, we develop, we design, and of course we implement these digital solutions, these digital interventions. And it is a great pleasure. Today we're going to go in depth in the details, in the technical details sometimes, but we're also going to look at the big picture and look at what digitalization means in the bigger context. Before I proceed, some housekeeping rules. You all know the Wi-Fi, it's there. I invite you to engage also on Twitter using the hashtag WeGoDigital. There are some, yes, WeGoDigital. There are some copies of the agenda outside, and there is also, most importantly, I would say, a copy of our statement. This is a statement that we've been working on internally. It triggered an interesting reflection process internally as well, which represents ESIP's position on this very important topic. The meeting is recorded. We have a lot of people I see also online. As I said, I will do my best to try to bring you also your questions at least to the discussion. And of course, we don't want long monologues here. We don't have presentations. And I do invite also the people in the room to please feel free, raise your hand. I'll come to you and you can ask your questions. I want this to be as stimulating and interactive as possible. So the meeting is indeed recorded. And for those of you, you see Horst, our photographer there standing. If anyone has any serious objection in terms of being photographed, please go to Horst just to be sure that there is no problem and you don't feel uncomfortable. I will turn to our president, Ms. Ilka Wölfle, to give us some opening remarks. And then I'll go online to the deputy vice minister from the Czech Republic. Thank you so much for joining us. Ilka, over to you.
Okay, does it work? Yes. Ladies and gentlemen, dear colleagues, it is a great pleasure for me to welcome you today at our high-level conference on the digitalization of social security. First of all, I would like to thank the Czech Presidency for including our conference within their program, and we are very grateful to welcome the Deputy Minister of Labour and Social Affairs, Mrs. Martina Stepankova. Thank you very much, Martina, for joining us online today. We are also grateful that we have representatives of the European Commission and members of the European Parliament here. Thank you very much for being with us. Is digitalization a chance, a challenge, or a risk? If you ask me, I would say it is a great opportunity, and the time to seize it is now. Digitalization is indeed a top shared priority of social security organizations in Europe, and we are very proud that around 10 CEOs from our ESIP members took the time today to come to Brussels and to explore the digitalization of social security with us. Our members are committed to steer the process of digitalization and make it fit for purpose. This means developing services that bring real added value for European citizens and at the same time reduce the administrative burden for social security institutions, also in cross-border situations. Several examples were presented by ESIP members in a set of workshops where technical experts shared their experiences and learned from each other. This is the real added value of ESIP, bringing together different perspectives and different experiences from different European member states towards a common goal, making social security systems in Europe fit for purpose, fit for the future. This is why we will soon share our recommendations to the high-level group on the future of social protection, which identified digitalization as one of the megatrends shaping the future. In a digitalized world, our members are committed not only to fund, but also to design solutions addressed to the citizens, including via the implementation of the single digital gateway. We understand the importance of making social security services fully accessible online. At the same time, we stress the need to fill the, so to say, digital deserts, be it in terms of digital literacy or areas where community-based services should be reinforced. Our members play a crucial role in a digitalized world accessible to all citizens. Their experience and expertise must be acknowledged and taken into account when considering action at European level. But we also need European support to ensure that our systems are interoperable and that we are able to share information in a timely manner. There are already many existing opportunities offered by the European Union to support us throughout the process, and we are happy to hear some examples today. Another crucial aspect is data. Data is a goldmine in every sector, but it is also a very sensitive topic, in particular when it comes to social security data. That is why we are following very closely the initiative of the European Commission towards the establishment of common data spaces, starting from health and moving towards the broader dimension of public administration. We are also reflecting on how our members should be considered key actors and co-designers of these infrastructures. Where social security data is processed, a secure environment is needed. The digital transformation is reshaping our social security systems in Europe, bringing citizens closer to public administration and ensuring a smooth transition to state-of-the-art technologies. I am sure that we can achieve this target together. Let's take the chance today to learn from each other and promote the digitalization of social security in Europe. I look forward to hearing your experiences towards a fully fledged operational social security. Before I pass the floor to Martina, I would like to thank you all again for joining us today, and I wish us a fruitful and interesting conference. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Vice Minister, over to you.
Thank you.
We see you and we hear you perfectly well, so please.
Okay, thank you very much. Thank you, dear Madam President, dear ladies and gentlemen, dear guests. I'm really glad I can say a few words at the beginning of your really interesting and important conference. The Czech Presidency intends to address, among other things, the impact of demographic change and digital transformation on labor markets and social system. For this reason, the Presidency is pleased to take over the patronage of today's e-Social Security 2.0 conference organized by the European Social Insurance Platform, and it is a pleasure to welcome you all here today. Through the appropriate and efficient digitalization and automatization of our institutions' processes, as well as their communication with their clients, our services can be significantly improved. It can, at the same time, save capacity and resources that will be more than needed in the near future to meet the current challenges of inflation, the energy and refugee crisis. This topic is therefore of the utmost importance at the moment, not only at national but also at European level. Much has already been done at EU level to strengthen the digitalization of public administration processes. The digital single gateway regulation requires that certain processes between administrations and citizens should have an online alternative. The eIDAS regulation focuses on the interoperability of digital signatures and identities. An important step in this direction is the electronic exchange of social security information set up in the field of social security coordination under Regulation 883. In relation to this later regulation, the Czech Presidency would like to contribute to reaching an agreement between the Council and the European Parliament, for which employers, workers and national institutions in the Member States have been waiting impatiently for 6 years. Despite the best efforts of several previous presidencies, a compromise solution acceptable for a majority of Member States has not yet been found. One of the main points of contention is the issue of prior notification of the posting of worker and the associated administrative burden. The other is the change in the system for granting unemployment benefits to cross-border workers. The Czech Presidency, together with the Member States in the Council, has already started work on possible options for the way forward, and we are committed and ready to seek for a balanced compromise solution. We believe that the path to a successful conclusion of the legislative process should be based on mutual understanding and maintaining balance between the needs of both Member States and their institutions and those of workers and their employers, and not least the internal market as a whole. Given the considerable investment by the EU and Member States in existing electronic communication tools, in particular ESIP, which will soon be fully operational, we would like to work towards use of their full potential. As the digitalization itself is a tool, not a final goal, we believe that existing tools are able to support adequate and balanced solutions of current challenges in coordination of social security. At the same time, it is necessary to respect the limits of the regulation as such, which are determined by its legal basis. I would like to express the hope that we will be able to find sufficient will to achieve this goal in the Council and in the European Parliament alike. Let me conclude by wishing today's conference success, and thank you very much for this possibility.
Thank you very much, Madam Vice Minister. Very clear statement. And thank you very much once again for your support. It is a privilege and a great responsibility for us to be working with you. Good luck and bon courage with the presidency. It will soon be over. December is around the corner. But in the meantime, I wish you success with your work. You have a lot on your plate. And we will do our best from our side. Thank you very much once again. Thank you for joining us. And next, unfortunately, Commissioner Schmit wanted to be here in person, but he's not in Brussels today. And therefore, we have a short message from him, which I find also to be very clear. In the meantime, may I please ask our panelists for the first panel to take your seats already so that then we can start right after the short recorded message of the Commissioner. Thank you very much.
Ladies and gentlemen, I'm pleased to address you today at this high-level conference on digitalization of social security, organized by the European Social Insurance Platform under the auspices of the Czech Presidency of the Council of the EU. At the outset, I would like to commend the efforts of the Czech Presidency to achieve further progress in the digitalization of social security. This effort is part of the wider digital transformation of society and public administrations across Europe. Clearly, digitalization of social security has many advantages. It makes exchanges of information faster and more accurate. It improves public sector efficiency. It helps to fight fraud and to reduce errors. And it facilitates access to social security services for citizens, since they don't need to carry physical certificates with them anymore. Indeed, citizens should be able to fully enjoy the benefits of human-centered digital public services. This becomes especially relevant when it comes to social benefits and when exercising their right to free movement. In the field of social security coordination, the ESI system is enabling your institutions to exchange information in a secure and more efficient way. The figures speak for themselves. With more than 30 million electronic messages exchanged via ESI since 2020, communication between your institutions has sped up to handle the social security cases of millions of mobile citizens. The system is up and running in all member states, and I strongly encourage them to finalize its implementation. The Commission is working actively on removing the existing barriers to the portability of social security rights, while also enabling EU citizens to take full advantage of the opportunities digitalization can offer. The Single Digital Gateway Regulation already brings an important change. A number of administrative procedures linked to social security will be fully online and accessible for cross-border users by December 2023. Thanks to the application of the once-only principle, citizens should not be required to provide information to authorities if another authority already holds that information in electronic format. Building on these and other developments, the Commission is working on the European Social Security Pass. This pilot project is exploring a digital solution to connect citizens with social security institutions and other relevant actors across Europe. Starting with the portable document A1, the pilot explores how to digitalize the request, issuance, and cross-border verification of the validity and authenticity of such documents. I am pleased to note that 13 member states have been involved in the pilot project and that the work on the legal and technical aspects is ongoing. Several member states have also applied for funding from the Digital Europe program to pilot different solutions for the digitalization of the European health insurance card and of the portable document A1. If their application is successful, this experience could start in autumn 2022, and the first results will be, hopefully, available in 2023. Ensuring the close involvement of social security institutions in the design, development, and assessment and deployment of digital solutions is necessary to make them operational on the ground, as well as supportive, useful, and cost-effective once implemented. Therefore, the Commission will continue to work closely with all of you to obtain tangible results and to achieve our common goal of improving our public services and making our social security systems fit for the future. Thank you.
I think
Ladies and gentlemen,
you will agree with me. This is yes, again on repeat. You will agree with me. This is a very clear message from the Commission, and we have with us Raymond Maes. I think he's the person to go to when it comes to the digital advising of the Commission. Before I introduce our panelists who are here with us, we have also, I just want to confirm that we have Madame Gabriele Bischoff also online, or one of her colleagues. We are a bit ahead of schedule. That never happens at conferences in Brussels, but she has been warned. Perhaps she's not there yet, or if one of her colleagues, perhaps.
Digitalization.
If not, maybe we can drop an email to her office, and we can wait a bit. And in the meantime, I can introduce the panelists. So it is a great pleasure to have here with me today, and this is going to be. You will see that throughout the day, we're mixing external expertise. Well, in this case, I don't know to what extent the Commission's external expertise with our own in-house expertise. So you will get a reality check from the panelists, but also from you. We have a lot of our members present here in Brussels today about what these issues actually mean for the lives of citizens across Europe, and what also these rules, or what is on paper, what is in terms of legislation, actually means, and what kind of changes how our lives, everyone's life is affected in our daily life, or at some stage in our life. Because we will examine, especially with this first panel, the consequences also of the legislation, especially in the context of mobile citizens, of mobile workers. And I'm joined here today by Jitka Konopavskova from the Czech Republic. So she is one of the, I would say, most knowledgeable people in Europe when it comes to social security coordination in Europe, with a lengthy expertise, and of course involved also in the current presidency. But she's here also to give us predominantly her technical expertise and her hands-on expertise. Bruno Depot from the Social Security, so the sister organization of Jitka, but in Belgium. Bruno is a lawyer. He's a legal counsel with tremendous expertise also in the case law. So he's one of those people who actually get excited reading about all the cases in the court and gets into the details. Jean-Marc Vandenberg, Director General of another Belgian member. At ESIP, we have a lot of Belgian members, so don't be surprised that we also have them on the panel. The Federal Office of Employment here in Belgium. And Raymond Maes, of course, as I said, our key go-to person for digital issues at the European Commission. So thank you very much for joining us. And of course, Madame Bischoff, who will be with us shortly. She's joining remotely because this week it's a green week for the Parliament, so most parliamentarians are back home or in other commitments. But of course, Madame Bischoff is the expert, the negotiator of the European Parliament on this file that the Vice Minister referred to, the ongoing negotiations on the Social Security Coordination, Regulation 883. And of course, she's the vice chair of the Socialists and Democrats in the European Parliament, a member of the Employment Committee. I don't need to mention that. And of course, the vice chair of AFCO. She will be with us shortly. So I think we will start with Raymond, because Madame Bischoff already knows your issues. You don't need to move the mic. Okay. I think we can hear you loud and clear. Commissioner Schmit already gave us an overview. I would like to ask you if you can go a bit more in depth and give us a bit of an overview and the state of play, actually, of where we are with the EU level initiatives when it comes to digitalization in the context of social security. Yeah. And your lessons learned, actually, yes, so far.
Thank you very much.
Thank you for joining us.
Thank
also.
you. Thank you, and good morning, everybody. Yes, maybe just a slight correction to what you indicated in terms of being an expert on all the digitalization in the European Commission. I see myself more as a kind of an entry point and go between, between the stakeholders, between all those involved in this whole process from outside the Commission and from within the Commission. And I'm very happy also to be accompanied here by a number of colleagues who are also more directly working on the ESPAS project in particular, but also in social security coordination. So they might also come in at the later stage. I think the Commissioner mentioned one particular and very important point of departure in this whole process, and it's very much emphasized by ESIP as well, and that's the involvement, the direct involvement of the actors. The actors being, in this particular case, of course, the Social Security institutions. I will take in this intervention maybe as a point of departure the ESPAS project, because I know that, and I spoke with some of you already before, there are quite some, let's say, expectations or at least requests for further information on this project. The Commissioner very clearly said we need that involvement, and this is also how we designed the ESPAS project, very much together with IMPS. In order to really make sure that we have this direct involvement of one of the institutions and more institutions. That is also one of my roles, to get more on board of this pilot project. And for the past 1.5 years, there was really intense work that was ongoing to carry out this pilot project, not only, as the Commissioner said, on the technical legal matters, but also to get more engagement from the member states, because in the end, we will need to test the solution with a sufficient number of countries also to see whether it works and whether this is a feasible option to go forward. So we consciously choose also for a pilot project, as announced in the action plan on the pillar of social rights, a pilot project in order indeed to make this checking. I think we came quite a far way now in 1.5 years. However, what we have seen in the exchanges with the member states, indeed, more or less 13 countries followed the process, but there were relatively few that were actually in a position to engage also further technically in this process, in the ESPAS project. Now, as was mentioned by the Commissioner, funding is available under the Digital Europe program, and we are really happy to see that there are 12 countries under one of the calls and 5 countries under another call, which is related to the European blockchain infrastructure, that are ready to form a consortium and take the pilot forward. So that's, I think, very good news. We have to see, of course, where this selection process will go, but if and when selected, then we will ensure that there will be a good transition and that they will be building upon what we have done over the past 1.5 years. Maybe to take a step back now and have the bit of a broader picture, since you asked for that, the landscape is evolving very fast. The single digital gateway regulation was already mentioned. So what we also aim at, and I get back again to ESPAS because I think it's an important illustration of that, is not to invent new structures or new, like it was in the case for the European Social Security number, new identifiers. We know that there is the ongoing development of, for instance, of the digital identity, the EID. We have the single digital gateway. We have in place the European blockchain infrastructure. We are building upon those different initiatives and adding to that then this particular issue, which is about the verification of the Social Security coverage in the case of the PDA1, the applicable legislation. So it's an add-on, you could say, to the initiatives that are already ongoing. But that makes it in the same time also very complex, because we need to ensure also that these other processes that I mentioned, they take duly into account the specificities of the Social Security coordination. And that is also, I think, where ESIP can play an important role in terms of providing us as a Commission also with feedback on whether you feel that indeed those processes allow for the appropriate digitalization within your institutions. So that is very quickly said, taking ESPAS as a point of departure, the approach. So building upon what is already ongoing, trying to ensure that what is already ongoing takes duly into account what is needed for the Social Security coordination area, and then identify what on top of that would need to be done. And to finish with that, we have, of course, ESSI, or easy as some say, but so easy it isn't. But in the end, of course, we are getting there. We are getting there, as the Commissioner said. We have it, the Commission set up and running in the member states in most member states, or no, I cannot say yet most member states, but in a large number of member states fully up and running, in a number of member states almost fully up and running, and there are a few member states that still have to do quite some work. And I think that is also yet another challenge that we face there. But on top of ESSI, what we missed still and what we try to address with ISPAS is the interaction between citizens and the institutions, and in particular, in the case of PDA1, with the inspectors, and in the case of the EHIC that I did not yet talk about, with, for instance, healthcare providers. But I'm sure we will have the occasion to.
Thank you. This is a very good overview. I want to challenge you a bit already while we're waiting for Madam Bishop to join us. You referred to the idea or the emphasis that now the Commission, or from now onwards, will be placing more on using pilots. And I see Madam Bishop. Thank you for joining us. Welcome. We are a bit ahead of schedule. You won't believe it, but it's true.
And even I did join. Good morning before schedule, so it fits quite well.
Yes, and we were just talking with Raymond. I'm sure you know, you're fully aware already, and I already introduced you. Let me just follow up with a question. Why pilots? Maybe because you were too pushy at some point as the Commission with your ideas and initiatives.
Too pushy is maybe too big a word, but I think we learned some lessons. And I think if all of you also look at what is happening nationally, it is quite difficult to get IT projects right. And I think this is a lesson that we indeed learned from the past. And it's not only getting it technically right, but it is also, and that is the additional dimension, of course, at the European level, getting enough institutions, member states on board that buy into that particular solution. So that is really why we choose to do a pilot. And of course, basically, and that's everywhere the same, so much investment is behind those projects. We just do not have the, let's say, the comfort to do it wrong. I mean, we have to get it right. And that is why, indeed, we choose to do it in the form of a pilot. Yeah.
Thank you, Raymond. And thank you also for your openness. 1 second. Yes, a brief question if you have one, and then we can proceed.
Yes, my name is Corine Peters from UWV in the Netherlands. There are lots of projects, digital projects. I was just curious if there is an interdependency between all those projects. I would say if you look at our citizens, they have a life cycle. Social security can be one of them. So is there an integral view on and an interdependency of all those digital projects? Because they seem to be all islands on their own and not really one comprehensive.
Excellent, excellent. Thank you, Corinne. And this is the spirit of today. We're here for a frank and open conversation. So please feel free. I invite you to ask your questions. Thank you so much. Spot on. Over to you again.
Definitely excellent question indeed. And one issue is indeed the life cycle of the person, but already within the social security coordination field, I think, and that is also what we have learned and need to be very careful of, is that you have digital processes that continue. And sometimes there is a risk that at some stage we forget what exactly the purposes are and how does it fit in the overall picture. And from a governance point of view, we also have that issue at the European level. We see that our interlocutors at the European level are quite often the technicians on those IT projects, while those that have decision-making powers, let's say, or that are rule makers, let's call them that way, they say, let the technicians work on it, we will see. While they need to give the steer, while they have also often the overview of what is needed and what is in the end, let's say, adding value. That is also why we reached out, for instance, to the European Labour Authority. They are, of course, having the inspectors there. So we need to know what is useful for them. And they are not only also checking on social security, of course, so we need to also to design something which is useful for them and is workable. So just to give an example, not providing you with the full answer, because it is definitely an issue that we are also.
We will come back to.
Yeah,
we will come back to this topic for sure. Let's give Raymond a moment to breathe, and then we can come back to him. I'm sure there will be more questions also from our panelists, but also Raymond, it's your opportunity and also the colleagues from the Commission to articulate your expectations from social security institutions. Madam Bischoff, thank you for joining us. We see you, and I hope you can hear us very well. You're missing out on a full house. We will add some chairs afterwards, after the break. You've invested so much of your time and energy, and you are talking to everyone as the negotiator of the parliament, and you've invested a lot of your time and energy in digitalization. Have you invested too many hopes in it? What is your lesson learned after all these years of involvement? Please, over to you.
Thank you very much, and good morning to everybody. Indeed, that I can participate is only possible because of digital solutions. You know, we have a Green Week where we normally are in our constituencies, and this is what I will be doing this afternoon. So I think we negotiated already since many years. I took only over in 2019. The digital solutions were always a part of the debate, but they were never the key part. I mean, let me remind you that already in the last agreement and of the year from 2009, we had a transition period for fully working, at least with the ESIP solution. And I just listened carefully to Raymond, that is still not fully working. So digital solutions can be helpful. They can support it because citizens expect in all areas of life digital solutions. But the thing is that it is, here I quote again what I just heard, not easy because it takes a long time. I think we invested around 100 million euros already in systems. So to get proper systems, and also like the question of Madame Peter said, also having a good interlinkage of the digital solutions will be key if the digitalization can be part of the solution to finally, after two failed compromises in the council, to find an agreement between the parliament and the council. So it is not a magic solution, but I think it's the expectation also from the citizens to have fast digital solution, to have e-governance working, and also a good interaction between different digital tools.
Very clear. Thank you. I'll come back to you, and I see overlap also with what Raymond said. Ilka, if I can come to you.
Yes.
Thank you for being here with us, and thank you also for the support of the Czech Presidency once again. You have a lot of experience from the ground. What should the spirit of digitalization be? What should the objectives be? Let's take a step back.
Okay, that's a simple and heavy question. I think it was already somehow responded today. Well, I took pink, just to be positive, you know. I usually do not dress it. So my expertise, you know, I've been involved in many different projects, which means that you see it from inside, and you always raise some issues like, well, this would not work, this need to be interlinked, well, we need some more analysis of that, etc., etc. So this is the reality, and this is what we face also with the ESIP project. I see Benoit here, and here somewhere the chair of the technical commission. By the way, we had very good meetings the last 2 days, and we reached some issues like security issues we are discussing, you know, which was always discussed beforehand. So I just wanted to say that it's very complex. And what, coming back to your question, well, what I see as a crucial issue is that, you know, the institutions are capable to manage it in the real time. And it means not only that there is something necessary on the horizontal level, let's say on in EU, but also that the institutions must adjust their national applications, etc., etc. And this is something which is much more expensive. In ESSI, we were trying to put together the figures, how much did it cost? And it on the national side was much more. So therefore, it took that much time, and still we are not ready. And that's why when we look at improving the communication, in international business, which is much smaller than the national business, this is also the proportionality, how much money you want to invest. So we don't want to invest that much to international if it covers just 5 to 10% of all the business. So altogether, I think the capacity is limited. So this is the first thing. And here I would see the good role and possibility also for ESIP and the ESIP members and the national states and institutions. When the Commission would like to introduce some new, let's say, project, program, initiative, and anything like that, there is a need of a really good business and impact analysis with involvement of institutions and member states. It's not on the level of ministries. My colleagues from the ministry will excuse me, but it's especially on the level of institutions because the life cycle is as it is. And the institutions, the hardware, software, they develop very fast. And the developers will always find something new, what would be useful. But till the moment you implement it, there's something new in place, etc., etc. So this is one part I would really see as very useful, just to avoid some misunderstanding later. So I see the legal analysis background is in the background is always very good, but then in the implementation we see that there are some holes. This is the first thing, and the second thing is that the solution must be, and it was said already mentioned. To the mic. Oh yes, sorry, I was addressing it more to you than to the micro. So and then it should be well addressed also not only to the institutions which are just also implementing it, but also to the citizens, to the clients. It's not only citizens, it's also employers, etc., etc. So the tool must be clear, simple, and easy to be used, users friendly, and also for the clerks, of course, when they use it. So if you implement too many things at once, you'll just not be able to manage. And when I look at the projects which are in place now, then of course there is some link, and it's a good link between SDGR. There's a good link with ESSI because it's on different levels. So you start with giving example with PDA1 application online via the online application, which is obligatory to be implemented till the end of next year by the single digital gateway. Then you have ESSI to exchange the main data. And still, as to institutions, we just have problems to get all the data from the employers, from the citizens sometimes, because it's difficult. You have to have it structured, etc., etc. And then it's how to get PDA1, if it's necessary at all, to the citizens, to the workers. So then, if there something works wrong or it's some hole there, then it would be in effect prolong the whole process at the end of the day. Because institutions are not able to implement, employers are not able to manage. They will not, especially as when I go to a PDA1 issue and this title. Yes, sorry, posting. So then, not in all cities, situations, you need it. You need to apply. So if some part of that does not work completely well, or it is not simply available to everybody and simply manageable, then it causes discrepancies and problems. It's like a block there, and this is what nobody wants to. So a good coordination of all the activities, and it starts with regulations and continues with pilots and with piloting and everything. So I will conclude. So it's not simple. The direction is good, but we must be very much more thinking about what we are capable to manage in the real time. If it starts to work good, really, there are a lot of good plans. I think especially in applicable legislation, it works pretty well. We are working in improvements. I'm also rapporteur of the group, so it's okay. But we need also some regulation, the amendments. Well, 6 years. I've forgotten that it took that long time, So the moment that to be implemented in real, it's in effect, it will be old again. And this is another issue, Now we have telework, we have other things. and we are spending very much time with things which have been solved years ago, and they work somehow. So the last thing is my personal opinion, and that's why I would support really in this my presidency in this moment with all the efforts, because it's really a very heavy task. Thank you.
Thank you, Ilka. Ladies and gentlemen, she just started, and so you see all the expertise. Bruno, take us a bit behind the scenes. Take us to the back office of what you have to do in order to translate the regulations, what you see on paper, into the real life, into the work of you and your colleagues, also working with cross-border cases, obviously. Please, over to you.
Thank you, Yanis. I will not be speaking here as a juridical nerd. That's one of my other hats, but more the hands-on experience with digitalization. We do have quite a bit of experience because our first online tool to apply for what was then known as an E101, now the E1, dates from 2001. So it's already 21 years ago. So we do have some practical experience which could be useful to share with you. So the first point, Jitka touched a bit upon it.
I knew you would continue.
It's very simple. It's money. Each and every project on digitalization we undertook, we were underfunded, which means you make an estimation, how much will it cost to analyze, to build, etc. And at one point or another, you're short of money, which is extremely frustrating because you have all these nice ideas. And then in the end, you see, oh, we have only that amount of money left, such a wish list. And then you have to kill your darlings and say, oh, we only have money for this and that. And then you launch the project and everybody says, oh, it's quite good, but it would have even been better if, and then you say, we know, we tried, but we lacked funds. So the first thing is you make a budget and then you provide for at least twice of the budgets. And then you take the time allotted and do exactly the same thing. Because everything, as Raymond said, it's always much harder than it seems to be. So that's a bit for each and every digitalization project we undertook. It was the same thing. You should tell, oh, more than 20 years. You should have learned by now, but you should do it. And still, everything, even if we add some more money, there's a point where we have to ask for additional funding, which I must say, mostly it works. But sometimes we just have to say, okay, we only have time and money for this. So this is the one point, a very practical hands-on thing. Make sure you have a large budget. The other thing is completely different. It is a very positive constatation about digitalization. In a sense that digitalization has managed to make the impossible possible. The seemingly impossible possible. In a sense, we as an institution, and I'm talking here now about issuing A1s, because that's what we do, we are confident.
1 second, what an A1 is, just for everyone in the room to know.
It's a document you should have with you now.
Nobody has here.
For all the non-Belgian insured people. So now you know what it is about.
Who has it? Maybe we can raise our hands. A reality check. This conference is a reality check. Yes, please, Bruno.
So it is effective. And I'm even starting to compact that, to vulgarize a document you should apply for each situation where you are, for work purposes, present in a country which is not your social security country. It's classical, what is called the posted workers, but in the social security sense, which is not the same as, of course, the labor work. And then the multi-state workers, the people that go around every time. So in fact, it's a document where you can prove which is the competent country in a cross-border situation. Now, there's been already an enormous lot of discussion about it. There's, other hand, 20 years of court cases still ongoing about this famous document. But on the other hand, I was going to give a positive message in the sense that we are stuck between a rock and a hard place. On the one hand, there's the employees and the employers that say, oh, we need a swift decision because the worker is going to work on a building site, let's say in France. in 3 days' time. And he will have issues if he doesn't have the document with him. So on the one hand, the enormous pressure for immediate, swift, quickly, because we will run into trouble if we don't have the form. On the other hand, there's, of course, the European Court of Justice that say, no, no, no. You should guarantee that each and every A1 you issue is thoroughly checked on all the conditions, and you should guarantee that it's correct. So on the one hand, we have quick, 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 and on the other hand, make sure it's correct. This seems to be an impossible situation. Well, the thing we've learned is with digitalization, it is perfectly achievable. Because there's the one thing, the electronic application. Okay, yeah, it's very nice, but it's nothing more than that. What we've done is built a whole program in the back office based on the principles of RPA, robotic processing automation, which is in fact a whole series of algorithms where a program automatically deals with your case and checks in all the databases available about the workers, about the employees, about the social security contribution, etc. Checks all the conditions, automatically selects the right document, whether it's a bilateral country with the COC, and A1 fills in the document and puts the document electronically at the disposal of the applicant. The whole process for a classical case takes less than 12 hours. But at the same time, so 7 days and 7, at the same time, we can guarantee each and every one of our foreign colleagues that all the classical conditions we are able to check are all systematically checked in all our databases. The end of the results, it's only when one of the checks turns out, oh, there might be a problem, then the document, the application comes on manual, and then it's a person that actually deals with it. Because it's situations where we question the employer and back and forth, etc. And when we look at the case, the big advantage of that is that our clients, the public, the workers, the employers, etc., are very pleased, although they are never pleased. In a sense, we are very quick, which means the latest thing they apply for in this cross-border situation is the A1, because they know, tomorrow by noon it will be in my, what is called e-box, so the secured environment. And if something goes wrong because they text something wrong, 2 days later they're already back, hey, my application dates from 2 days ago, what happened? So in a sense, yeah, they're never pleased, but on the other hand, we managed to do it. And then ESPAS would be the logical next step, because what we do, even if we issue digitally, it's still an environment we call the e-box, which is not created to show documents. It is a communication tool between government and employers, etc. And then we have one for citizens as well, but it's not designed to open it and say, oh, show it. And this would be ESPAS, and at the end of the process, which is specifically designed to show something. And so yes, that way we could get an integrated one. So the one is the money, and the second thing is, it is really an extreme opportunity to make sure that your clients, so to speak, that citizens and employees, etc., are served, and at the same time correctly applying this difficult European law.
Thank you, Bruno.
May I have a question?
Yes, you have a question, please.
It's just a small question, because, well, this what you described requests a lot of data. So, you know, the national systems may differentiate, and also a lot of data from the counterparties, you know. So, and sometimes data that are not obligatory according to the regulation. So a little bit, you know, it's like a tricky issue. It needs more communication. So this is something which is necessary to bear in mind. It's not fully applicable for any system, I think, not really. And there are always there's always some level of cases which can't be managed by this way, because they need some manual interventions necessary to say. And regarding ESPAS, again, it has also some limits, and it's the legal limits, because currently there is no any obligation imposed to the citizens to have some electronic device, etc., etc. So we just have to look at it. I'm coming back to the question you were asking me, that the system should respect not only the abilities or possibilities of institutions, because we are just implementing something, executing something, but especially the clients, let's say. So that they are really differentiated. Not everybody has the good digital knowledge, etc., etc. So just respect that not everybody may use the digital tools completely, you know. And so from this, usually benefit from a complex, complete digitalization, which is perfect from my point of view too, is that you know, the winners are those who are big enough, strong enough, or have good advisors. Very often, you know, the simple small employers or people, they really are very often the losers, and the workers who have such employers and the agencies, labor agencies, etc. So
thank you for this comment, and Bruno, I'll come back to you and you can touch upon this. I want to go to Jean-Marc. Madame Bischoff. I'll give Madame Bischoff the privilege because she's online. Please, over to you.
Thank you very much. But I think the presentation of Bruno, or the input, shows some key points. One key point is that we have a very different level of digitalization and of investment in digitalization in the member states. We invited the Belgian colleagues in the European Parliament to present it. We did different events also, for example, in member states in Berlin. And I think one of the interesting questions is how we can we set better standards? Can we learn from member states where it works quite well, and so that not every member state has to do all the experiences the Belgian did, but learn also from the mistakes? This is a question. Do we have an overview on the digital investment in the different member states? And I think this last point, between an e-box and an app, I think in the last 10 years we had such innovations, digital innovations, that that this question, how up to date are the technical solutions, are important. And I have to say, I visited a building site with the German control authorities, and I was very much impressed. I don't know if there are any numbers, but what I could see, that even if people still had paper PDA ones, all of them had mobile phones, because especially if you are a mobile worker, this is your way of connecting and communicating here. But indeed, the point, are we able to fasten in a foreseeable time, especially this link between digital solutions, but then in the end on an app on the mobile phone with a QR code or something, that would be of advantage for the workers to have fast solutions, but also I think for the authorities and the control authorities.
Thank you very much. Thank you. Very, very good points. I'll wrap up actually the national experiences, let's say. I'll go to Jean-Marc van den Berg, Director General of the Belgian ONEM. Well, you would be surprised he was supposed to be in the second panel, but we moved him to the first panel. Jean-Marc, your national experience from ONEM's perspective. ONEM is one of the biggest institutions here in this country. Based on what you've heard, what would you say? What opportunities do you see and what challenges do you see?
First, I'm very impressed with all those experts. I'm only a CEO here. I feel alone. And my experience at of digitalization at the international level is relatively new. But well, about digitalization as a whole, well, I should say I like it. I want it. I need it, and I have a lot of expectation. And yesterday I lost my wallet, paper one. So I'm paperless. And I have to say, I feel I'm comfortable with all this paper. I have to admit, if I lose this, I feel also uncomfortable. What I want to say first is that I think both are necessary so far. Maybe in 20 years it will be different. But yeah, we know that digitalization is not very easy for a lot of citizens. In Belgium, there was a study 2-3 weeks ago so that in fact the digital gap is increasing because all the digital applications are more and more complex, and it makes that the competencies of the citizen is not growing as fast as the one as what we are developing. So that's a first point. The second point is that last week I was in one of my local office in northern Belgium, and I asked about international exchange of data and things like that, and they say they were happy with what was existing because it goes faster than before, and it's very useful for the rights of the citizen who are importing rights from other countries, and that's very interesting. And it's also useful when we organize controls with people who works in another country, Netherlands, right, Luxembourg, and things like that. And then we went for the demo, and yeah, it wasn't so good. In fact, say, oh, this information is not good. We don't have enough information. It's not harmonized at this level. And sometimes the application is down. So we have the citizen, and it takes much more time than expected. For control, sometimes we try to identify a citizen who's working in Belgium or in the Netherlands, and we try to get information, and it's a mess. So yeah, I waited not to drink too much, and I see it like that. Is it half empty or half full? Well, I don't know. But what I know from my perspective is that my expectations are growing. So, sorry. Yes, it's more empty than full. And well, my conclusion and the conclusion of my colleagues I was talking about the last days to prepare this, that it's not enough. I'm sorry, but it's not good enough. It's nice. We're happy about it. But yeah, for 20 years, we only achieved, well, 2 forms. Think U1, U2, something like that. 20 years. Yeah, you should have said 40, probably double it. But and after the COVID crisis, everything accelerated, of course. So we were busy with digitalization and with telework and with the lockdown and things like that. Yeah, it accelerated. So the expectation of the citizen are much bigger than before, yeah, and the expectation of the administrations as well. So I think it's kind of big opportunity to move forward. And I heard there are a lot of projects and things like that, and I hope it will become reality and not in 20 years. But so my point of view, it's not good enough. I'm sorry, I cannot say differently. For the rights of the citizen, we have to wait sometimes a lot of time about controls as well. I'm implicated in different affairs and things like that. And we are asking questions to different country, European country, and it takes months to get an answer and things like that. Even with neighbor countries, it's not, I'm sorry, it's not good enough. We have the means. I think the technological tools, they do exist.
Is it a question of political will then? What is it? A question of money? Is it a question of expertise? What is
Ask to the experts.
Ask to the experts. Okay.
No, okay. I only see it takes a lot of time. I understand it's not so easy. I would love it. Say, just let's do it. We do it. Give, I don't know, 100 millions and everything is done. Of course, it's not like that. You give the money usually.
Please, yes, forget about it.
Raymond. Thank you, Jean-Marc.
But we need it at the local level. It's more and more complex. We know that there are more and more citizens who moves from one place to another. Correct. Constantly, and it's increasing. So we need it if we want to give an appropriate service to the citizen, and if we want to do a job as controller, just to be sure the money is going where it has to be and not in other pockets. So yeah, I think we have to accelerate it. I think it's a good moment. I'm sure it's a good moment, and I'm waiting with a lot of expectation.
Excitement also.
Yeah, excitement.
Thank you, and thank you for bringing also the issue of the digital divide. I'll go to Raymond, and you wanted to comment on what you've heard so far, but I want to again challenge you a bit. What you're doing at the Commission, is it consistent, or are you contradicting yourselves at times? And then I want to open also for questions in the room. So please prepare yourselves. Please, Raymond.
No, to give a quick answer, of course we are consistent. We are, no, as I mentioned, all these different projects, once again, we also learn, we are very much in contact with all the different departments that work on digitalization. In particular, looking at Benoit here, he has daily contacts with colleagues in DG Connect, for instance, on all the other initiatives. Yes, we coordinate, once again, as much as possible, as much as we can. And I think this applies very much also to the national level, and it remains, of course, the challenge. And that is what we are faced with also. And I do not want to turn the ball back, but still, I mean, we see also that in our discussions with the member states, we get one signal saying, no, that particular solution, I don't want to mention blockchain, is a very good one. And then somebody else from that very same member state says, yeah, we are working on it. It's something that we, as an administration, are very much in favor of. So I think I'm once again not saying that we have challenges in terms of coordination, but it's everywhere. And I think it's typical for these kind of very complex context. Now, I indeed wanted to very quickly react. I think the exchange that we have seen here, not only the internal Belgium exchange, but especially the international one, shows the importance of exchanging experiences and keeping everybody as much as possible at the same level of information, especially since what we see, of course, is that there's such a diversity within the European Union in terms of digital maturity, let's call it like that. And that is, of course, a thing where we are faced with. If you mention the fact that we are not going fast enough, we also need, of course, there to be sure that everybody is on board from the European perspective, of course. And then you see some countries that go faster. And why not? I mean, they are ready for it. But when they go faster, it is, of course, very useful and I would say even indispensable that they share that experience, that they share this knowledge with the other countries that also want to pick up the pace. Maybe two other points that I wanted to raise. Political will. It was shortly already mentioned by Jitka. I think indeed it's a matter of political will, because where there's political will, quite often the money follows as well. But there, of course, we are also faced with an issue that we are speaking here about cross-border situations. And indeed, there is the large bulk of the work by social security institutions, which concerns national situations. So the more we can also make use of the movement that is ongoing at the national level to kind of add up to that with an international component without, let's say, increasing enormously the separate budget that would be dedicated to this international component, that of course is the ideal situation. And then the last point I wanted to make on inclusion, we are working in the Director General for Employment, Social Affairs and Inclusion. So I think it's a really very important point also that was made, that indeed we are pushing forward digitalization. We want to accelerate, we want to make the best possible use of all the new technologies, but we should not forget about indeed those that will not be able to follow and will probably never be able to follow. And then I'm speaking, for instance, of other use cases to use that term. For instance, the pension cases, also the health cases, where we really need to be very attentive to those people who will not be part of the digital solution.
Thank you, Raymond. And Madam Bischoff, to you, the same question: is EU action consistent? And if yes or no, you will tell us what you think from your experience. But what should be the priorities from now onwards? Over to you.
Very many questions. I think that the ideas and plans are consistent if you look at the envisaged digital solutions. But the problem is that everything is very slow. Also, I think a problem is the willingness of member states to invest or to participate. Because, I mean, if you look at ESPAS, for example, we will only proceed if you have enough member states that, for example, would participate in pilot projects, and you need a critical number there. So I think, and I mean, the experience we had with ESI and others is that it took 10 years longer already than anticipated. That's a long time. That's a cycle where you have totally new digital tools here. So I think the way forward is to get more political agreement also to join in these solutions and to have a realistic overview on the current state of the art and in comparison to the plans and have a roadmap here, because I mean many speakers said it, the expectations of citizens are quite high. This has to do to the last 3-4 years and their experiences, and they want to know what is the realistic perspective when the digital tools are ready, are fully working, and also how the cycle of these digital tools, starting with the single digital gateways and the national portals to the ESI, to the ESPAS, how this is interacting and when it is really properly working. So I think we would need really a new impetus and push. And I have to say, until now, I don't really see that. I would like to see it, but when I look at the current situation and also listen carefully to people, I think there is a lot to do to take up the picture of the glass less than half empty. I think we need to change that.
Thank you very much. Thank you. Questions in the room, please. Don't be shy. Bruno, keep it short. Introduce yourself also.
Hello, I'm Bruno Grégoire from the URSAF National Fund in France. So I have a long statement and question. So URSAF National Funds develops and support many digital user-centered projects. To name just a few ones, we have a digital application for declaration and payment of micro-entrepreneur, digital service for the declaration, hiring declaration and immediate tax ready for the employers of home workers, the famous CESU. And we have now the management of applicable social security legislation, 100% online and user-friendly. We developed this tool thanks to Belgium, Poland's cooperation in 2 years. So it was quite hard work. So, well, in this context, ESI offers new opportunity for exchanges and protection of workers, etc. Today, we can say that all member states fulfill the obligation of means because we are all using ESI system. However, if I take the example of applicable legislation, the situation is very far to be satisfactory because you have told it already. The quality of the data is very questionable, and sometimes we don't receive half of the necessary data to assess the situation of a multi-active worker, for example, in both countries. So my questions are how the Commission imagines guiding the states toward an obligation of results with EC in order to have qualitative, exploitable data, etc. And the other question is how to encourage multi-stakeholder emulation to build digital solutions together. Because I know, for example, with ESI, we are all thinking about solutions to better use data we receive, better control the data we receive, etc. And there is no multilateral emulation. We are still working with between 2 states, 3 states, but we need a strong support from Commission, for example, to encourage this emulation. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Excellent. Gabriela Pekorova, over to you. We have all the right people in the room. You can introduce yourself.
Thank you very much. My name is Gabriela Pekorova. I come from the Ministry of Labor and Social Affairs in the Czech Republic. And I would like to thank you for organizing the conference on such an important topic. And I would like to elaborate a little bit on what Bruno was saying. You mentioned that you since 2001 are introducing gradually the system for more of digital or automatic proceeding or procedure of claims on A1s and connected things. Well, I think all member states are currently deliberating how to do that, how to do it more quicker, in more effective way. However, when we look at you are also mentioning that there are a lot of things that need to be checked before A1 is issued, and I think what we currently have on the EU level very well covers the digital entry to the process. Single digital gateway says it should be done online. Probably the result should also be available in electronic way. And we also European Commission introduced a pilot ESPAS project, which I think, if I can very summarize it in a nutshell, is a checking at workplace, or it's a tool that should help to check whether a person was issued A1 or if certain A1 is the correct one. But there is something in between that is the most important thing, to checking all the data in order to issue or not issue. And I was wondering how you managed, for example, the assessment of organic link between employer and employee. Do you also have a digital way how to do this? And how, for example, if you check number of employees minus administrative staff, that's something that we are kind of struggling with, because it's not simple, it's not always available in our databases. And I was wondering if you whether you have some kind of recipe how to solve this, because if we solve that could be easier to digitalize all the process. Because
if I'm with Hilbert from the same ministry, to just use the Bruno's expertise in the case law. Imagine there is a judge from the Court of Justice come into your institution and you show him the application for issuing PDA1. Do you think he or she will be fully satisfied with the checks that are being undertook by this digital tool in order to comply with the case law of the court? Thank you.
Wonderful. Any other questions? And then two more, and then we move to the panel. I'm not even going to try to remember these technical questions because I don't understand them fully. Please. I see a lot of hands.
Morning, Fredrik Dusplaar, University of Leuven. I have a question related to transnational exchange of information, because, well, what we're hearing today is, well, a lot of hope about the Commission, about the project of ESIP, the ESPAS. But I think, well, one of the remarks make, okay, we need more information, and also the question related to ESIP, that the quality is not what we expected. Well, take it in your own hands, I would say, and yeah, try to make bilateral agreements in terms of exchange of information, because, well, what is probably the Commission is hoping with the ESPAS could also be perhaps made a reality by, for instance, exchange of information between administration and checking the information about, well, are all the conditions fulfilled? Is there indeed an insurance in that specific member state on the A1? The same goes for the EHIC. There also could be an immediate verification between member states without the need or an intervention of the Commission in terms of the ESPAS. So my question is, well, is there always a need for, well, an European solution, while there might be also a solution in terms of more collaboration of transnational exchange between member states?
Thank you very much for the challenge there. Can you not do your homework on the bilateral level rather than always going and asking things from Raymond, essentially? And final question, and we have one more online from the OECD. So final question, who is the lucky one? Please.
Thanks. I'm Kathleen Hartel of the Dutch Employee Insurance Agency, colleague of Corinne. I have a question for the Minister of the Belgian National Employment Service. Sorry, I can't see your name and I didn't really receive it. Jean-Marc? Yes, I was triggered about your statement that you said it isn't enough yet. And the situation about exchange of information. Is this topic about the challenges of digitalization, or is it about the borders we know about data protection, etc., within the context of the exchange of information between countries, like between the Netherlands and Belgium? It's about unemployment data, we all know, and income data. We have a good relationship with the RVA, so we go with the pilot and we go ahead and we try it. It would be our dream at national level. We have a police administration in the Netherlands, and in that police administration, employees can put everything about all insured persons in the Netherlands. It's really terrific. If you don't speak about bogus employment, I mean. So it's really terrific. We would like to have a European or international police administration. That would be the outcome, but that doesn't exist. So my real question is it about the challenges of digitalization, or is it about the borders we know, about exchange of information between countries? What was your topic?
Thank you so very much. And we have one more question from a colleague at the OECD online about the role of digital skills and what should be the direction in that sense. And perhaps this could be an area where we could have more EU and national investment. So I'll start with Raymond, if you can address the questions
Yes,
to you, and then go to Bruno and Yitka and Jean-Marc, and
yes,
of course, Madame Bischoff.
Yeah, no, I will try to address the questions. First of all, the specific question on the SSI, and I'm looking also at colleagues who are more directly working on that. As you know, there is also the business improvement process that has now been engaged. So I hope very much that the questions that you raised in that context can also be addressed. However, of course, and it's something that we have discussed at previous occasions, the digital tools as such will not change, or rather expose even more than maybe currently is the case, the situation where you have to have the trust that the delivering country is delivering indeed the PDA1 based upon the right data. And this is something which is even more exposed now, I think, with the whole digitalization process, but it is something that you cannot directly solve as such. I mean, maybe to some extent with automated processes, you can go a far way, but still it is a matter of the mutual trust between the countries. And yes, indeed, so the confidence that you have that the country that you are at that moment dealing with is indeed having in place the right processes to deliver the appropriate PDA1. So that is as far as I can go, I think, in that reply. On the bilateral agreements, I think we see that in some very specific situations we have already that cooperation. I think also, if I remember well, it's between some of the Baltic states and Sweden. I don't know whether people are here from those countries. There are specific, let's say, arrangements already in terms of information exchange. That can be, let's say, a basis, but once again, it will get a more broader dimension, or should get a more broader dimension. You mentioned the health insurance card. Okay, you can have quite a lot of exchanges with one particular country, but if then suddenly comes, let's say, buses full of people or planes full of tourists from another European country where you do not have that bilateral agreement with, you're still faced with a particular problem. So I think it is, in terms of experiencing what is possible in terms of information exchange, it's important, and it can also solve, let's say, some issues that you are in practice facing, but it is not the overall solution. I think the overall solution in the end is, as was mentioned, a European or an international one. That is the nature of the issue, I think.
Yitka, you want to come in with a reaction?
I will be very short. So just a few reactions on some questions, about the bilateral agreements. I think it's a natural process. If you need it, so we conclude it. It's very simple as that. So it's not for other purposes. We have ESSI, which is a very complex project. We learned a lot about it. I am to say that from the very beginning, it was totally underestimated. The first transitional 2 years period it was like a sci-fi. Everybody would tell you so. And then, well, if you have a project, IT project, then the political and also business expectations are much higher, you know. On paper, you have limit number of data and you work with them. If you have something digital, you expect everything then. And you had more and more and more and more. This is the reality. And this was one of the issues why it took that long. So, and then coming back to the quality, everybody has problems with that from the last year we started. And Benoit, I think, may confirm that in the administrative commission, technical commission, we started much more focus on the quality data or the data. Commission works, elaborates on that with the member states. The French presidency started to work with that at the Czech as well. We have now a good working party on some statistics on that and why the processes takes that long in certain sectors like health, like pensions, etc. So let's see, it's a long-term procedure, and you know, it's also depending. This is the difference in when I compare digitalization, digital data, and paper data. That you send something, and you have then a lot of processes how to exchange the data, you know, and then you add more and more and more, and then the systems must elaborate and etc. etc. In paper, you just think first about, check it, and then you ask this, and then you decide. It takes more time, and it's maybe sometimes better, sometimes less. So what we have to do is just to look maybe more into the to improve the data, and especially in applicable legislation, we're working on that, which are really necessary and which are in the moment we may request also, you know, based on the we should not forget that we have law behind it. It's not just that I decide, you know, I need it. You must have some regulation behind you. So sometimes it's missing on the national side, maybe also on the EU side. We will be facing it much more when we are talking about platform workers and telework. It will become even more crazy. And the very last thing is that the very first process in ESSI, which was completed, was the business use case, which was on posting issues, request for the relatively simple cases regarding PDA1. And the very last remark, and I will finish by it, is that really for certain persons, for certain types of workers, it is not necessary, because PDA1, just to be clear, is a declaration. It's not a constitution. So, and this is something we have to bear, and there's a good logic in that, because we don't need it. Nobody has PDA1, you know, here. Why? But if you have transport worker, well, will you check them? No, nobody. You will not. So this is the reality. But be careful with him, you know. Just so. So I just wanted to explain that we must be careful about it. What we introduce on the legal as well as in the digital form. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Ilka. I'll go to Jean-Marc, and then I can bring in. We won't have time for a back and forth because I want to bring also Madame Bischoff and to have more time also over the coffee break. Please, Jean-Marc, to reply to your question.
Yeah, we already did do that, and I'm relatively new in my position, but I'm beginning to think I have to do that. But I think somewhere it would be a pity. With the Netherlands, it's quite easy. Germany, Luxembourg, France, okay, there are stuff to do, probably, most probably. But then I have to go to Cyprus, to Poland, and things like that, because yeah, it's a word today. So I would find it a pity, but maybe it's the option. But I prefer it differently. I want to fully support the question of Bruno. Maybe make it compulsory. Maybe it's a dream. I'm not good enough to know, no expert, but maybe it should go in this direction to have qualitative data, information that's complete and thing like that. Yeah, and there was the last question: was I talking about exchange of data or digitalization? Excuse me, from his country. And we could have it via digital way. For me, it's exchange of data for digitalization. So for me, it's a little bit of both. But I was talking more about exchange of data where for cross-border situation, where we are expecting more qualitative data, fully complete from all countries, also to face on the same piece. So for me, it's kind of linked.
Thank you. Gabriele Bischoff, do you want to come in as we're coming to the end of this panel?
Yes, I would like to come in very short. I think what we have seen also in this debate.
We have some little issue with the connection. We cannot hear you. Yeah. It keeps cutting off.
I had
Can you hear us
before?
Go ahead. Now it is. Please go ahead.
I can hear you quite well. I hope that the digital connection stays. I think indeed what I would like
there
to
we are.
It will not let us down.
That it is.
Please go ahead.
I think in my country we have a problem with digital investment in broadband.
Would you like to perhaps we can try this maybe? Yes. Can you, yes, in the meantime, Ms. Bischoff, I suggest try logging back in, perhaps because there are a lot of problems with the connection. Thank you.
Okay.
I'll go to Bruno in the meantime.
All right. No.
Not you, not this.
This Bruno.
You will talk about it over the coffee.
To answer the question of Gabriele and Vit, I'd be ridiculously short. In this so we can explain to you in detail how exactly we try to change this all these concepts of the regulation into practical checks. And secondly, Vit, please come along to judge for yourself. Of course, it is not perfect. It cannot be perfect because we can only check some parts of it, the Belgian parts. What happens abroad, we don't know. So in fact, applicable legislation is an example of how we should collaborate, because a member at least 2 member states. And then coming back to this bilateral, I would say if we go bilateral, why not take the next step? Information, try something a bit more provocative, giving each other access, direct access to each.
Surprise.
We are running a project with the other Bruno, of course. And I must say, it's taken a bit longer than expected from our side, I must say, because there are very specific issues involved. For example, our privacy watchdog, the Crossroads Bank, says, no, you need to create a new profile for a foreign inspector to give them access to our system. We say, okay, go ahead, we need it now. And they say, well, yes, it's number 31 in our priority list. Things like that. But I would say this would even work way better. Instead of all this exchanging, asking, etc., give a real-time access to a database. Of course, this poses, and then I look once again to the Commission for the final answer, a framework to avoid us to be confronted with all these privacy watchdogs, etc. So how would we do this GDPR-wise? Technically, this is our thing, and we've managed to do that with France. Authentication, etc. This was quite okay. We are challenged with the juridical issue, but I think this would be bilaterally the way forward to even move to the next step, which if you achieve this, it will become really easy. You simply have a look directly in what happens in the other country.
Allow me exactly on this point to bring in Ms. Bischoff. Gabriele, are you there? Can you hear us now? I think we can hear you and see you very well.
Good,
so is bilateral the way forward? Forget about the EU. What would you say?
I would share the more ambitious approach because we are in 2022. And the Parliament, let me remind you, already 2014, for example, came up with the proposal to develop a European Social Security number that would also facilitate and be an ambitious approach. We got stuck there in the process, but I really think we need to be more ambitious and we need solutions that work all over the European Union.
Thank you very much. And thank you for joining us today. Thank you for your time. I'll come for the final word to Raymond, perhaps, to the Commission, so you can wrap up this wonderful first part.
Thank you for the honor, but I think after this panel, it shows that those exchanges are crucial, are very important, and need to continue at all levels, I would say, national, bilaterally, multilaterally, but definitely also at the European level. I think and hope that ESIP plays also a role in this regard. You mentioned some technical workshops that took place. But I think we are very much also on our side, on the Commission side, demanding party to get your feedback and to get your input, indeed, from the daily practice that you experience, from your experience in the further digitalization, in order to, and I come back to my very first words, to really have everybody on board in this process.
Ladies and gentlemen, thank you very much. Madam Bischoff, thank you for joining us. Thank you for your time. Enjoy Germany. And we are here to work together, whatever you need from us in terms of our expertise and hands-on experience. Ladies and gentlemen, join me for a warm round of applause for Raymond Maes of the Commission, Bruno Tepo, Ilka Konopascu, and Jean-Marc.
Thank you very much. Okay, we will continue. Monsieur le Président, Mesdames et Messieurs, ladies and gentlemen, dear colleague. I will start with the information about my position in the context of the digitalization. Yes, of course, I am the lawyer, and so I am professor of social law, but I am for this digitalization. This is my passion, and so I do a lot in this area from 6-7 years ago. And so my first remark, I think the benefits of the administration of our competence institution, are similar to the digitalization, to market entitled, because public institutions like banks or commerce also provide service to general population. But I think this is the special case. This is the digitalization of social security institution, and in particular important because it enables completely new form of operation. For example, if we look to the one of the more important branch of social security, I looking to the pension scheme, and Polish scheme based on the defined contribution, and this system would not be able to exist without modern information technology. That doesn't, and we are talking about running 23 million personal account, recording every contribution for every single person paid to the system. It was not possible to introduce that system, for example, indicate early. Traditional pension schemes do not know anything about an insured person until her or she try to claim of old age pension. Digitalization, from my perspective, also made it possible for us to transfer my institution, social insurance institution, into social security institution. Why? We decided on 2021 to build efficient IT system to the construction new family benefit, new family benefit, but in the principle of the new IT system, only the electronic application, a payment of the account of the benefit. That was a very important element if the traditional method of the realization, the social right, if you look to the social insurance. We decided about construction, new family benefit in the dedicated 20 million application, and the application are processed automatically in 98%. This is fantastic if you look to the optimization of the cost. This is no paper. Yes, that was not easy to the, if we look into the process of the construction of our new legal solution. It was a lot of the discussion. This is not possible. We need the paper and automatically method of the application. Why? We have the one and the second, but we decided in the context of the budget, of the optimization, and of the looking to the future. Only new IT system, only automatic method of the application, and cashless payment of benefits. That was a lot of the problem of the obstacle, but we do it. This is the next year we have the very positive reaction to this parent of this children, and so I think we need, if you're looking today on the process of the better reform of this digitalization, from my perspective, we need a lot of the reaction, better reaction between the public, private sector. We need a lot better cooperation with the public basis, and so I think more important, this is the very good team, a lawyer and the IT expert, this is the engineer, and this is the more important leader. We need the determination. We need the what we want to do, and we need to know our study research. We need to know the consequence and very positive result of our reform. That was very important in the process of the pandemic. This was more important than another. We do a lot before pandemic if you look into the process of the digitalization. The first of one that was the better realization of our obligation in the collecting contribution. We decided about the changing our law in the process of the electronic account dedicated to the employer. And in Poland, this is about 1.7 million of this entrepreneur who are the obligation, the payment, the contribution. The next did what the electronization ESIP note. This is very important in the process of the better cooperation between health insurance, between the sickness benefit, and that was the revolution. If we're looking to the reaction of our doctor, yes, only online ESIP note only. If we're looking to the process before this reform, that was about 2 million. This decision of the doctor, 2 million months. Look to the registration, look to the process, to the decision, the employer, to the social security institution. We need the long of the time to the positive reaction. Now we have the special platform because we have the special all the new platform where we know in this moment the decision of the doctor about this ESIP note, and so we know the structure of this person. We know of the number of the sick, etc., etc. That was fantastic in the period of the regarding what happened on the pandemic. before the March 2020, we have on this platform 2 million e-sick note, 2 million. And what happened on the March 2020? That was 3.3 million of this e-sick. What happened? This is the consequence of the pandemic, of the COVID. What happened? No, this is different sick, but this is the mental condition. This is the different, and so that was very important, I think. And so we do a lot before the pandemic, and in this situation, it was fantastic method of the better management of the state, looking what happened in this process. And the same, if we're looking to the social regulation dedicated to the subvention, to the different instrument, to the employer and to the insured person, that was realized only if this platform that was better than traditional method of this reaction. So I think we do a lot in the process before pandemic, but the period of the pandemic was fantastic to take the discussion with the Prime Minister, with the Parliament. We need the digitalization. We need the budget. We need the new solution. That was easy to the process of the adopters this, and so we do it.
Thank you so very much. Thank you for the passion and the enthusiasm, but also thank you because we are now in September 2022. We can draw some early lessons. Some say that we're still in the pandemic, but Anne van der Stappen, can you bring, I want to pick an element from Professor Siska. Gertruda said that we brought together the lawyers and the IT people. Do they coexist? Do they understand each other? What is your experience?
It's not always, it's difficult, but it's important that they understand each other to make programs, to make applications, to understand social security. You need both to do the job, but they have to listen more one to each other. Yes. Well, for me, of course, in Belgium, I am a little bit, bevoordeeld. Excuse me? In advantage. Thank you very much. Because, of course, like Bruno said already, we have all 30 years in Belgium digitalization of social security. It begins with the Crossroad Bank for Social Security, where every data that were in the social security institutions were on a security way and with respect for the privacy of the citizens. So the Crossroad Bank for Social Security is a really important institution in Belgium to make possible digitalization between institutions, and that is very important. It was created early 90s from the former century. So 30 years of digitalization in Belgium, we had a lot of experience. Myself, I have really a lot of experience with my pension. We created together with Federal Pension Service, who is responsible for the pensions of the employees and the civil servants, and CGDIS. And CGDIS is the organization who shared the data of the second pillar. And together, in cooperation, we made My Pension. And My Pension is a platform on which the citizens, Belgian citizens, can look to, and they see their career and the earliest possible retirement date, the current amount of pension they built already, but also the expected future amount. They can also have all the information about supplementary pension, a second pillar, They can make simulations. For example, they are self-employed. They will become employee. They will have another income. They will work 4/5 and not full time. Well, they can make the simulation to see what is the result of the change in their career. So it's very important for the Belgian citizen. And once their pension is in investigation, well, they can follow their file on My Pension. They can also see the amount that they will get, etc. So it's a very successful platform. We have every month over 1 million views, unique views. They come look at what will be their. Even young people of 20 and 25 will come look to My Pension. They are very disappointed because because oui, c'est quoi, c'est pas encore beaucoup. Enfin, bon. And they are disappointed also over the results, because the pensions are the pensions that are not rich amounts from which we will become rich. So very much people are very disappointed over the result. But okay, that makes them also think if has longer work. For example, they can see that if they take their retirement at 60, well, their amount will be less than will they take their pension at 65. So it's important also to let the people work longer. So and that's an aim for all of us, I think. And okay, this the Dimona, Bruno didn't tell anything about it, but all the and employees, you can find it in the Dimona and in the ASR, and that exists already 20 years or 30 years in Belgium. So everything between employer employee is there. So we have.
But what are the challenges that you see?
And the challenges, well, they are big. Changing classic concepts, status, working time, forms of work, family, mobility of employees. We talked about the exchange across borders. It becomes bigger and bigger. More and more European citizens are going all over the world and come back and so on. Growing risk of digital divide. There, I will come to that later on also. The technical developments follow each other quickly. Apps, online services, voice technology, cloud, artificial intelligence, war for talent. Very important. If we speak about digitalization, we have to find the digital or the IT expertise to make our applications and to help us to make everything digital. And there I see a great problem in Belgium, perhaps also in the other countries, but in Belgium it will be a major problem. New forms of work, we talked already about the platform economy, etc. Zero tolerance for digital failure, very important that the citizen attends of us correct information immediately when he asks, and he doesn't accept failure anymore. That is, yes. You get it immediately back when you put data on the screen that are false. You immediately have the citizen to call you or to say, oh, there's something.
Safeguard public trust and transparency and accountability.
Absolutely. It's very important because if we lose the trust of the citizen in our systems, it's a political. It's political aspect.
And may I stop you here, and then we'll continue. We have plenty of chance to continue. Pasquale Tridico, thank you for coming. INPS is indeed a giant in Italy with a presence throughout the country. what are the lessons that you're drawing from the pandemic? Unfortunately, Italy, for instance, was at the epicenter of the pandemic at the beginning in Europe, at least, and INPS had to really rise to the task and serve the millions of the insured who expected immediate action. And what is the impact that you have until today?
Yeah, thank you very much. I'm very happy to be here. So thank you for inviting us. And thank you for this conference where actually you can learn lessons as well from speaking from each other, from other experiences. So very interesting. Congratulations, Yanis.
Thank you very much.
Now, the INPS basically my institution as you said, is very pervasive in the Italian society, both culturally and economically. We do have a between entrance and payment budget of 800 billion euros per year. So we are speaking about that.
It's 800 billion, if anyone didn't get it, just to say.
So it's about half of Italian GDP. And basically it's more than most of European GDP country, basically. And we serve about 42 million users between firms and the country and worker and citizen. And during pandemic, this number was increased by 15 million. So 42 plus 15, 57. The Italian population is 60 million people, as you know. So basically all, apart from public employees, who got a job. And we manage, of course, their pension. So this is the reason why it's so, let's say, economically pervasive, culturally important in the society. As well, politically, it is, I mean, usually the president of INPS is very much at the center of any social and labor policy in the country. Negatively and positively. So it's at the center of any attack and very rarely at the center of any appreciation. Italians, if they are Italians, they know what actually I'm speaking about. In particular, during 2022, it is actually the permanent crisis, a very difficult time. Now, the challenge, it is the pandemic, was a very interesting challenge from learning how to manage these numbers with innovation. So we do have a problem concerning innovation. The institution was always keen to accept innovation. Digitalization is something else, which is something new to some extent. Country like Belgium, where the e-government was the center of the political agenda some decade ago, they are probably very good today. We speed the pace of innovation in the very last year, sorry, and we are able today to reach this number in very short time, thanks to a strong investment, money, basically, first of all. During pandemic, it was very easy to ask money to government, to be honest.
Yeah, that's correct.
It was not an issue. Now I'm seeing the constraint is increasing, but during money, Raymond, we did not have that issue. Thanks God, actually. I was going to ask everything, and I was just given. Important to deliver in 20 days benefit to people in 20 days. This was something amazing.
And with legislation changing,
with
no?
legislation changing.
Countries, I guess.
During 2020, as you know, Italy was at the center of the pandemic. We were as well example to some extent. For the first time in our history, probably, we always look at Scandinavian countries, Germany and France, plus, to see how they manage social policy. I was, I'm professor by profession, and I was going through university and seminar, attending and learning how they managed to overcome the crisis. And you know that the European welfare state is divided in 3 big categories. Esping Anderson 1990 was already teaching us, the mapping of the welfare state models. And you had the conservative or the corporative, like led by German, or the neoliberal or the Anglo-Saxon type, and then the Scandinavian model. and Italian was always an hybrid and never really understanding well where the location in this mapping was, I mean, where Italy was located. Well, during the pandemic, Italy was clearly in the higher part of the strongest welfare state, leading both health, first of all, and economy. Meaning the trade-off was really solved. The trade-off between economy or managing working people and health protection was managed at the very good equilibrium point. Just to give you an example, probably you have heard about Green Pass, or a sort of, let's say, validation for vaccine or for COVID. And basically, Italian legislation in 2020 was oriented in the way that workers need to have that. Yeah? And you could have on your mobile and showing this to your employer, and then if you had, you pass, you go to work. Otherwise, you don't go to work, and then you don't get paid. So this was a very, well, controversial issue anyway. What we managed to do as IMPS, as with my institution, we made an agreement, well, overcoming all the GDR. By the way, another issue here is the GDPR. Yes. So I don't know if we do have time to speak about that, but we managed to, by law, with the effort and with the fear of the pandemic, to make something extraordinary. We're basically sharing with the Ministry of Health and my institution data about both fiscal code of worker. We do have all the fiscal code of worker. We know all about them, how much they work, how much they earn, and so on and so forth. We're matching this data with the health minister having vaccine data. And then we just have a flag on the yes or not having the green pass. Yeah? You don't need to show to your worker, to your employer, but your employer get in our account, I mean, in IMPS account of firm, it is called cassetto bidirezionale in Italian. So basically the firm account at IMPS get the list of working average or not having this was really an extraordinary thing. The challenge of the GDPR was amazing, if you think. And as well, the challenge of sharing data. I agree very much with Uczynska, with Professor Uczynska. I mean, all the issues were similar, and the passion and the effort of our institution in pushing digitalization and matching data in order to deliver benefit like money, or in order to deliver service like the Green Pass service. So these are things that we will never forget. And now we know that we can do it, and people and citizens know that we can do it. So we cannot say any longer, no, we cannot match data with them. Yeah, because we did, and we did it for a very sensitive data. I was speaking before with the officer from Slovenia, and he was just giving me the feedback of appreciation of the good equilibrium point found between. We were the first country to be attacked by COVID, as you know. But we were, I think we are as well one of the first countries which is giving out better from the crisis from economic point of view, and all in all as well from a social point of view. We spent a lot of money, but this was as well necessary, and the method that we used today are showing us that the road is really traceable.
Thank you, Mr. Tridico. If I may, Professor Uczynska, you want to come in. I see you nodding. What are your conclusions now that you put in practice effectively? Yeah. I understand, and also from what I heard just now from Pasquale, that there were some derogations, some things had to happen overnight, playing a bit or pushing a bit the limits of the law. What are the conclusions that now you can also say that this can be also an expectation from EU action? Taking it also to the level of what we can see in the future in the terms of EU initiatives.
Yes, this is a lot of the subject of this consequence. The first, I think, this is our contributed to the accelerate the digital transformation of my social security institution. This was very important, not only in the process of the pandemic support, the COVID-19 consequence, but I think this is very important to the process to the future. On the one side, I'm looking to the better cooperation with my colleague from the competence institution from EU member state. This is the one point, but more important from my perspective, today discussion. This is the point of our possibility to do a lot after the Russian invasion of Ukraine. We have take advantage of all experience gained from the pandemic period. That was fantastic. We have the possibility. We have the very good developed process of the IT instrument. And so, what about the what we need to do and what we do in this situation? The first of all, that was the process of our activity in the steering committee, where the responsibility to the process of the preparing the special law dedicated to the refugee person from Ukraine. That was necessary. The steering committee, this is the member of the different ministry, chief of the, but the same, the chief of the social security institution, because we are the more of the responsibility in the process of the social protection. This is the more important than another. That was very, very important. And so on the 12th March, we decided about the new social law with my institution. We are the right to the preparing
towards the mic, so to make sure that
yes, we are the yes, of course. It will be better. And on 12th March, that was I don't know, 3 weeks after 24 February, yes, after this situation, we decided about the new social law. And yeah, today I'm looking only to the 3 very important aspects of the new special law. The first, it was the legalization of person coming from Ukraine, define legal basis of the resident within 18 months. The second, very important, today I am sure that was my opinion, that was necessary access to the labor market and social benefit on the same condition as citizen or other legalized foreigner. And so today, if we look to our method of the registration of these refugees from Ukraine, we are the 450,000 of these refugees already working. So this is very higher percent. If we're looking to the third point of this regulation, we decided that was not easy. We have a lot of the obstacles. We decided about the method of the registration with Polish Universal Electronic System for registration the population, and so it will be practically based on the exercise the right to the social security, the medical, and so this we decided about the assigning the puzzle number, because this is the number of this system for registration. I think today, I am sure that that is crucial in the process of the managing the state, because we know a number of these refugees who want to stay in our country, who want to look into the work, who want to application of the new method of the family benefit. We know this. This was the crucial element of this special law: legalization of state, access to the labor law, and the next digitalization, application of our method of the registration in the context of the better know about the structure, about the dynamic of this person, about the cost, the budget, etc. I think today this process of the development of the IT system in my institution and the better cooperation with another institution was very important in the process of the adaptation, dispersion of my system, labor market, social protection. That was I think, very, very positive. And I think our determination on the pandemic period was more important in the better preparation on the next step of this crisis.
Thank you very much. And I think it's clear that you are zooming out and you're looking at the big picture that shows that also these digital tools, these digital interventions are linked and go hand in hand and can and should go hand in hand with social protection. And we shouldn't lose sight of that, because this is at the heart of our work as social security institutions. And if I can turn to you right now, you mentioned before also the digital divide. How can we guarantee, you have all this experience, how can we guarantee that we don't leave anyone behind effectively? Because not everyone, especially our constituencies, usually they are the elderly people or some other social groups that do not necessarily have access to these digital services. Is this something that is on your radar?
Yes, certainly. And it is an issue that is very difficult. It's not easy to find the right solutions, but well, the solutions we have in mind, the problem of the digital divide can largely be overcome if the target group can rely on others when using the services. For example, the family acquaintances, also we as organizations. But it requires, of course, flexible and clear access management systems. For example, when I want to help my parents, they had digital skills until they became 85. And from 85, the digital skills were gone away. So we think a lot of older people, there is a digital divide for them. It's not always the case, 70, 80, it goes. But once the older people become older, then the problem, it's another problem than digital divide. It's a problem of health and of mental capacity. So it's very important to have that in mind. So there are people needed to help also those people to go into the digital systems. And I, for example, I do it for my parents. But I need to have the access. And you can do that on many ways. You can do it now in Belgium with the EID. We have an identity card. You log in with the EID, and I use the EID from my parents and I go into the system. But we could also think about other mandates. For example, that my parents give a mandate to me, so that I, with my EID can go into the systems. So that are important things to work on. and to make it possible for other people to
in
help.
INST, you have a dedicated team that is
Yes,
looking at
we
that.
we are working on it because it's not with the EIDs there. All the systems in Belgium are accessible with the EID. Your personal EID, you go with your EID in all the systems in Belgium. But for example, my pension, when we have access to my pension and the citizen has access to my pension, but his family or his social insurance funds has not access to the data, and we have to put those mandates into. We have to operate that mandatory system, and we are working on it on this moment. But it's not so easy because you have to go to give access to other people than the person with his EID. But we are working on it, and we hope that it will be next year or in 24 at least. It must be reachable. Then in addition, we want also to focus on communication channels that are more accessible, such as smartphones or conversational interfaces. There we see that grandparents, they talk to their children with, they know the system. So we have also to put our energy therein, so we can more communicate with the channels that are more accessible. Digital buddies can also be called upon to help citizens, but face-to-face contact will remain, and there will be digital offices also very important. The digital office, this is the digital and the physical together, that you have the screens in the entrances of the bureaus, so you can help the citizen to find his way into the digital.
Thank you, Anne. Yes,
that's our solutions.
I want to come to the people in the room as well. Do you have any questions so far? I see one hand there. Yes, please. I'll try to reach you. And do we have questions online as well? Please, if you can introduce yourself.
Sure. I work for the Grand Est region, French region, and I had a question, especially to the last panelist when talking about using the accessing the e-health data. In Belgium, we can do that through an app called It's Me, but if I'm not mistaken, that is a private company.
Private company with legal, yes, with legal authorities. So it's regulated.
So, for example, if there was an attack and the personal information was got by a hacker, for example, who would be responsible for it? The public authorities or a private company? Thank you so much.
That is for. I'm not a legal. I'm not legal expertise, so for me it's difficult to answer. But it's monitored. It's monitored. All the accesses are very good monitored. Until now, we had no problems with it. So we have a lot of experience in Belgium with security of data and how to secure data. So and all the data are also from the Social Security are also into an G cloud. Dus we call it the government cloud. Dus we are with all our systems in Belgium, dus not in Amazon or not in, and so we can secure our data more. Yes.
I see a question here, please. If you can introduce yourself.
Yeah, thanks. Hugh Ruckler from Austrian Social Securities. A question to Pasquale Dorico. On whose proposal did this legal change happen so fast? Was it the proposal from INT or was it a proposal from the governmental side?
Good question. Thank you.
Well, IMSS, of course, has no legislative capacity. So we make proposal. We made proposal. We say to government, this can be done technically. And of course, the responsibility is the government. In 2020, government was very keen to manage the crisis. So there is in particular one article of our constitution which preserve public health, even with some urgent decree. So on the basis of that, we basically made 14 decree.
Those were the days that you could do.
And well, now we are very happy and speaking loud and being very, but I make sure you during these days, we were scared. So we were able and keen to do everything possible to cope with the crisis, both health speaking and economically.
With a high degree of uncertainty.
And even overcoming possible, of course, but even overcoming a possible, let's say, doubt, which I can understand on privacy, because we are speaking about that. I think that this was the underlying comment in your question.
And we will come to that also after lunch. We'll have extensive discussion on that. Any other questions? Final chance to get your question asked. Who am I? There, sorry. Raymond as well.
Just a very quick publicity because Professor Oshinska spoke about access to the labor market of people fleeing Ukraine, and the Commission is very much, of course, active also in this area, especially with public employment services, but also other providers such as social security institutions. And we adopted a guidance document on the 14th of June on this subject. Just some publicity here.
But only if you remark, because I think this aspect of the guarantee of the access to the labor market is very important, because if we look to our registration platform, today we have about 1.4 million refugees. Yes, a look on this position, 450,000 of these refugees already working. This is a new model of the migration. If we're looking to the refugees process, this is very positive situation. If we look to on the one side, to the very important budget to payment, the benefit, the guarantee of the healthcare, but on the second side, if we look to the method of the realization, the social right to the social protection, we have the same, the payment, the contribution, the taxes. This is very, I think, a good example of the management of this process. I think we need to know if we're looking to the refugees persons from Ukraine on the June and July, it was about 4 or 5 million of the people who stayed, return, go. This is different. But I feel more important is the registration. This is not only in the context of our method of the management of the state, but the same better protection of this person. I am sure this is more important than another aspect.
Thank you. Ilka, briefly.
Very briefly, I must just confirm, and well, Czech Republic is in a similar position, and well, our findings from COVID and also from this unfortunate this situation with Ukraine, we have 420,000 refugees, so our small country is quite a lot. So when the politicians want, they review, they put the limits away. They create conditions. And of course, the capacity is not enough sometimes of the institutions. It's not enough if you get money. You need also the business capacity to have there, So this is, yes, that's a crucial issue too. So there are solutions, but if the system is very complex, it's much harder to say, These solutions are easier because you don't have such complex data like for pensions, It's something else. This is necessary to say. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Final question to you, please, briefly.
Will be brief. I was wondering, the shift you have taken in digitalization internally, had that an impact on the internal organization in terms of, well, the number of people the number of civil servants in the administration, the profile of these civil servants, your administration. Can you say something about that? For yeah, the three institutions, I would say.
Yes. Yes, if you're looking to the personal scope of the activity, my social security institution, this is old population, I think, today, because on the one side, this is the traditional branch of social security with pension, with the different method of the protection. From the 1st January this year, we are the responsibility to payment of the family benefit. This is the for all population. We have the different system to the judges, etc. But this is not a lot of the person. So today we are in the area of the responsibility. I think 80.3 million, and with the refugees, this is more 40 million the people.
Thank you. And if you can also reply, and then also your expectations from the EU level action, very briefly. What would you say as a nutshell? What would your message be?
Well, I think that's important that digitalization, that we work on it, that we also can very good data between the member states can on a very clever way be uitgewisseld. Yeah, I think that it's very important, and we for our organization, we were at 1200. We were at 1200 20 years ago. We are now 900 with 150 digital IT people. Okay. So I think that the shift will be for my organization to 600 people, but the half of it's IT.
Wow.
So that's
it all. I think that answers your question.
That
yes.
is with digitalization.
And what do you want to see from the EU in 1 minute?
A lot, I think. I think that there are many projects at this moment. I think
too many.
Yes, too many. Frank Robben, who is our leader for the digitalization of Belgium, he was the founding father of the Crossroad Bank of Belgium. He has a big expertise in exchanging data. And he found out that at EU level, at this moment, there are 12 projects going on in the different DGs for social security. And there, I think we need to have one vision. And we work also a little bit like we did in Belgium. It's not so the cost of how we do it in Belgium is not so high. So I think that if we could put that also in Europe, that would be amazing, I think.
Thank you very much. Pasquale Tridico, what would you expect from EU action?
Well, first of all, I would expect, or I would wish probably, some clarity, politically speaking. Also.
Clarity on what?
On social policy. We do not have any social policy in Europe, yeah? And this is the main issue. Before, in the previous panel, we were speaking about sharing data or having problem even to get information, get access. Well, the point here is, first of all, the fragmentation of social policy in Europe, and let's be frank, the lack of courage probably in this field by all the Commission through the years, through the decades, in making the real integration, yeah? Because we are speaking all the same languages. Somebody a little bit with a step forward, somebody with a step behind. But anyway, we know what we need. We know what are the technical issue and how to solve it. Yeah. So it's not a technical issue here. We do have even problem with cross-border worker. Yeah. We have difficulty in managing between France and Italy, between Italy and Slovenia, and between Italy and Switzerland, who is not even in the European Union. So the issue is, first of all, political as far as social policy is concerned. Let me give you an example. In the last few years, we spoke a lot at European level, at political level, about the platform directive and about the minimum wage directive. Well, I'm an economist, and I know this issue by my research. First of all, I will say, what is that? What we have done? Where are we going? What Europe wants from that? What the vision on labor market and social policy is? What the directive tells to citizens in Europe? I don't know. Well, there is complete lack of integration. Everybody can do this, what they want, or even nothing. The platform directive, speaking, the last one, yeah. In the last years, we were speaking about gig economy and about riders in particular. I don't know the experience. Well, I know the experience as well in other countries. I can tell you about the experience as well in my country. I was even studying and doing research on that. We do have legally black workers there. Yeah, we all know that. In Spain, yesterday I was reading, they were firing firm for 75 million euros, a fine, because they found a big delivery firm not basically properly registering worker. It means basically they were not paying contribution. They were having thousands of workers in the black market. Yeah, it means that when the inspector of Spain go there and make a fine of 75 million euros, it means that they found basically some thousand workers driving the bike, dying as well on the road without having any insurance whatsoever. In Italy last year, we have done 153 million euros fine to 4 big companies for the same very reason. So basically we found lack of contribution, lack of insurance, and every year we do have a very bad accident on our road for biker. And then we expect the European directive. And what the directive says? Nothing.
And on this light note, because this is a big topic and you're not going to reply to that right now, because we're going to go, this is food for thought for the lunch break. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you very much. Professor Getruga Osinska, Anne van der Stappen, Pasquale Tridico, thank you for coming to Brussels. It's an honor.